What up? What up? What up? Good evening to you, beautiful people. Of course, I had to come and talk to you guys just a little bit before I retire. How you guys doing tonight, man? Thanks so much for joining. Good evening. Good evening. Go ahead and say hello while you guys are here. What's going on, Lisa? What? Hey, Puerto, you want to join me? Want to have this conversation? Would be nice to share with the people. If you want to do that, let me know. You know, I got a link for you, girl. You know, I got a link for you. Have some fun tonight talking about money. Money. If you want to do that, just let me know. That link is available for you. Just you know what to do. If you want to join me, man, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk to the people tonight about money. Yeah, man. So we're here, guys, on what is this? On Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live. So Instagram, sorry, y'all ain't gonna be able to get my. I sent it. You see it? It's right here. It's right here. It's in the comments. Or you want me to send it to your email? I can send it to your email too. I send it to your email too. Yeah, man. I think I got it right. Yeah, there it is. Lisa. There we go. All right, send it to your email too. Woo! All right, gotcha. All right, my beautiful people, man. Good evening. All right, thank you so much. Good evening to you, by the way, my beautiful people. Obviously, you know what I talk about. I talk about money. I talk about leveling up financially. I talk about being debt-free. I talk about earning more money. I talk about spending less. I talk about leaving a legacy for your children's children. I talk about a taboo subject that most people don't want to talk about. Matter of fact, they're just unavailable to talk about it because they're probably out right now on a Saturday night spending their check. And I've been out all day collecting checks. And so I just have found, I've come to the realization that it is fairly simple. It's very easy to get rich. I did, you know, I'll tell you the hardest part. The hardest part was getting my mind to believe it. You know, so often I think we make it more difficult, more complex than it has to be, but it's really not. Once my mind could believe it, right? I'll tell you some things my mind had to believe. My mind had to believe, number one, that God wants me to be rich. And when I say rich, obviously the word the Bible says is prosper, and that your soul will prosper. I know that God also wants me to be debt free. He tells me, to owe no man nothing but love. He also says something like this: in all labor, there is profit. Everybody put in comments below all. In all labor, there is profit. So if I work hard, I'm going to reap what I sow. So here's some things that I just know, and I had to actually accept it as a word that was for me, right? Now, everybody don't accept the word, but I did. I chose to accept the word, and because I chose to accept the word, I began to walk in the word, and I've started to get results in my life. And so I just teach what the Bible teaches. Really, I just teach it in my own way. And most people won't read the book, right? It's one of the best financial education books ever written. It's been written over 2,000 years ago. It's full of wisdom. Most of us won't read it. And because we don't read it, we can't follow it. You can't follow what you don't know. So anyway, I'm just telling you what I do. But anyway, so these are some principles that I follow, right? And I said it earlier this morning, in case you guys missed it. I said that, the good book tells us that obedience is better than sacrifice. And so what that tells me, and as I watch the world, is that most people will sacrifice, but they won't obey. And that's a problem, right? It's okay. It's cool to sacrifice, but if it tells you that obedience is better than sacrifice, then why not choose to obey? Now, obey what? Well, obey the commandments, obey the unction from the Lord, obey the inner voice, obey the guidance that's been given to you. Obey. I mean, what would happen if Noah didn't obey? He'd probably be dead too, right? What happened when Lot's family didn't obey? They got turned to stone. His wife got turned to stone. So obedience is far better than sacrifice. And many of us will sacrifice. We'll give up our time. We'll give up our money, but we won't obey. And so we still find ourselves living a cursed life, right? The cursed life. What's the cursed life? The cursed life tells us that you shall be you basically be a servant, a slave to the lender. That's the cursed life. Now, some people argue and try to tell you that's the good life. No, that's the cursed life. And that's if you read the book. So tonight I want to talk to you guys about what's going on. Lisa, you coming in? Is it working? It's not working? I know you're trying to get in. Lisa, my good friend Lisa going to come in. And matter of fact, anybody that wants to jump in, if you're on Facebook or YouTube and you're saying you want to be a part of this conversation, you want to talk money tonight with your boy ERGJ, if y'all want to do that, y'all need help trying to figure out how y'all going to level up, hey, jump in the box. I'm just trying to tell you, it's available to you. Help is available. Help. What country Wayne say? Help is on the way. Help is on the way. Hold on. Help is on the way. Anyway, we're going to talk about money tonight. I see Miss Lisa join us, man. Let me get this music going. New Black Wall Street. Y'all know what time it is. Mr. DJ. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The new Black Wall Street. Do it right, build wealth, live life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. It's your host.
Hey, let me know when you're ready, Lisa. All right, my beautiful people, man. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, New Black Wall Street, as we are presenting to you another edition of Money Talks with ERGJ. That's right. I'm your boy, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, your CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. Now, isn't that ironic? I wrote a book called The Black Billionaires Club. What do I do in there? I study wealthy people. And then what do? I do what wealthy people do. And then what do I get? I get results, wealth results in my life. That's right. I wrote a book. I read the book. I studied the people. I do what they do. And I get their type of results in my life. Pretty simple. If you want to be wealthy, study wealthy people. Well, you can pick that book by simply going to the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com. That's right, theblackbillionairesclub.com. But hey, guys, I'm not in this show by myself. No. Hey, Instagram, I don't have to say goodbye to you because maybe I'll keep y'all on. Y'all just there. I can't pay attention. I got YouTube and Facebook going on right now with my good friend, none other than, oh my goodness, the super agent is here. She's here to say it. Now, Howard, what's going on, super agents?
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to the new Black Wall Street and everybody who is on to get these gems today. It's so funny because when I jumped on, I said, oh, well, I've got a moment. So thank you for the invitation.
Oh, absolutely, man. And again, guys, I got a few more seats available. If anybody who want to jump in and have this money talk, hey, feel free. I'll leave that link for it. Just let me know. Hey, I want to join, and I'll let you guys join as well. Let's just have some family time. See, when I was growing up, guys, I'll tell you, my family didn't talk about money. And you know what? We can change that. Maybe your immediate family don't talk about money. Well, you can talk about money with me. I'm telling you that. We can talk about money. And we're going to keep talking about it because some of us need to got some money issues, some money problems that we need to solve. And so tonight, guys, they got said, that's right, Vivian's up in the house, man. So we got a super agent here, man. And so tonight, Lisa, obviously we'll have a candid conversation like we always do, give people next level conversations because I know that you've been leveling up. You've been doing your dang on thing as you've been as you're in the real estate game. And I want people to understand, number one, that you can pretty much get rich doing anything. I mean, there's so many ways to make money or earn extra income or, be successful financially. It's not a one thing. It's not no one thing that you do this and now there are habits of the wealthy. And matter of fact, in the comments below, if you want to share at least one habit of the wealthy that one habit that, hey, all wealthy people pretty much, they have this habit and it leads them towards more riches, the rich getting richer while the poor with poor habits keep getting poorer. So Lisa, tonight I was going to share a little story about, what happened today about how multiply money and how I was able to, get out with my godson today and teach him the ropes of how to do for self. And I know that you have a little one that you have been teaching as well. What are some of the things that you've been sharing with him as it relates to this whole building wealth, doing good with money? Let's just call it that, doing good with money along the way.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that because Lathan is growing up with some of the master teachers. I mean, I don't like to use master teachers, but those in that school of thought of shifting your thinking mindset, millionaires and billionaires. And it's so funny because my son is 8 years old and he knows he will be a billionaire. He knows that. And he's already thinking about ways to monetize what he does. And he's very inventive. So what I do, I actually show him the tedious work behind the scenes. And so here's a perfect example. He had made a comment. He says, Mom, you're always on your phone. You're just always posting. And I had to time out and say, Poppy, I'm making money from my phone. And I showed him what the PayPal account or the Cash App. I said, look, Poppy, I posted this, somebody ordered this, and look, what this is my email. He knows what emails are. I said, this is my email, and it says, how much money did I get? And he reads it, and he literally had this moment of, what? I said, listen. I said, no, Poppy. I said, Mommy's making money from her phone. And that's a very different perspective for a child, especially when everybody in the world has a phone. Most have a YouTube account. And now that he gets that, he's supportive of me with, Mom, did you make sure you told them to subscribe, like, share, turn on the notification, and subscribe? Like, he has his own spiel because he's been watching it. And so the way it works with him is getting him in that ownership mindset, getting him to be positioned, and especially Lathan and I, and that's my son's name, we have conversations about legacy. We talk about ancestral worship. Stop me if this is too much, because
no, this is good. I mean, we got some comments. We'll get to them. I'm listening.
Okay, so Lathan and I have, even at 8 years old, because he's had these moments in the last couple of weeks, and it just might be him being around me. Just he's reading everyone's comments. He's here. He's actually side next to me. He's not here with me right now. He's doing his own thing right now, but he's usually next to me when I'm doing Ready, Set, Real Estate or Shift Your Thinking, and he's reading the comments. He's seeing the comments. He's seeing the engagement. So I would attribute that feedback is actually creating a level of appreciation for Mom as a respected authority, as a person that is really giving back to her community. And I would attribute that it has really changed our dynamic, because now he's like really involved with understanding what ownership and running a business and a company is. And it actually took him last year to realize that. There was a year where I was feeling sluggish, and I had that time, depending on what's going on in the year, and I felt sluggish. And he said, Mom, you're going to be late for work, and they're going to fire you. I said, who's going to fire me? He said, your boss. I said, who's my boss? He couldn't answer that because he was like, well, in his mind, the school is saying, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And everybody's being groomed to go work for somebody else. And he just was answering because that was the programming that he's been on. And I'm deprogramming it, and I'm showing him, well, no, Mommy is her boss. And the reason why I can pick you up half day or middle day, or I can walk you to school, or I can pick you up from after school, and then we can go to the beach. And the reason I can do that is because Mommy is the boss. And I kind of went on a whole tangent with Lathan, so I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, that's good. And Miss Mankins, I actually just sent you a link as well, because I know that I've had some history with you and the Golden Girl. So if you want to talk about money and family or join the conversation, feel free to hit that link in your email, Miss Golden, if you'd like to do that. And I'm glad that you're talking about this, because that's a mom son dynamic. I know your mom and a child, but particularly mother and a son. And so him, especially a man, and it's go for women well, but a man seeing that, hearing that, seeing that, understanding that there are options, there are different ways to go about getting money, that if Mom can do for self, that surely I can do for self as well. Because as a man, typically, well, how I am, I'm going to want to outdo my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I want to outdo my father. I want to outdo my mom. I'm not quite sure if that's a woman feeling or not, but for me as a man, I can't speak for every man, but for me, I'm like, I want to outdo my parents. Like, if y'all got to this level,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to beat my parents. You know what I'm saying? I've
And
always.
I would agree that that could be something innate, because that is already what he's like, Mom, I'm going to take care of you. He's 8. He's like, I'm going to take care of you. And so we've had this discussion about him wanting me to live forever. He doesn't want me to die. And so, you know, we have that conversation about, setting up my altar and, doing all that other stuff. And so it's funny because this 2 months ago, I actually, is this public or a private group?
It's public. It's public.
All right. I'll share it. It's fine. 2 months ago, I shifted the reallocation on my life insurance policy.
Okay.
And yeah, I did that because of the dynamic that I have and the things that I see happening. And you just mentioned about legacy. So I think, I owe it to the fam to talk about, life insurance, and it's love insurance. And if you don't get a policy, I mean, it's funny because there was a statistic that shared that the people that actually take out life insurance are the people that are least likely to need it. And I just thought that was an interesting perspective. But for me, it gives me a peace of mind, especially for people who have that millionaire, billionaire mindset. And I've done this in trainings and presentations where I've challenged people and I say, well, if you feel you're worth that much, have you insured your life for that much?
Yeah, absolutely. And I asked a question earlier to the audience to see if some of these answers they got, man. What is a habit that wealthy people do or have that leads them to rich getting richer? Right? Vivian said, "Hey, investing. Yeah, absolutely. They have a habit of investing. They invest first and then they spend later, second. Right? Re-spend first and invest the rest if there's anything left. Wealthy people are consistent. That's what's going on, Ms. Mankins. They do what others won't do. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean, because I was doing something other people simply won't do today, and I continue to do something that people simply won't do every weekend. I just do it every weekend, rinse and repeat, right? And then it said make money from your phone. The rich also have strategies. Yep, they have strategies as well. Absolutely. And so you were talking about Lathan, your son, and I had an interesting, experience today. I took my godson out, and I was like, you know what? He just had a birthday recently, and I said, you know what, we're gonna go out. We're gonna take you out and show you a little something different as it relates to making money. Now, obviously, he's a teenager now, and money has become a little bit important to him. So I said, come on with me. Came with me, and we had a good time out at a health fair. Where I kind of walked him through the ropes, what to do, speak to people, let's make some money today. And I told him I'm not paying you just to be out here. I'll pay you if you make a sale. You make some money, you get paid. You don't make no money, you don't get paid, right? Obviously, I fed him and stuff like that as well. But I wanted to teach him that you in all labor there's profit, right? And you work, then you eat, right? If you don't catch nothing, you ain't gonna be eating nothing, right?
Right.
And so I want to share with the audience, kind of the lesson that I taught them today. So at the end of our time, I'll bring you in just a second, Ms. Golden. At the end of our time, of vending at a health fair, we were there from about 10 o'clock in the morning until 2, so 4 hours. I asked him, I said, well, how much money do you think we made? Right. This is after all the transactions took place. He said, man, I think maybe about 150, 200, right? So I said, let's just go with 200. Obviously, we did way more than that, but let's just go with 200. So I said to him, I said, well, if we made $200, right, how long did it take for us to make that $200? He said, 4 hours. I said, okay, well, how much money is that per hour? $50 an hour. So I said, okay. I said, well, what is minimum wage? Right? What is minimum wage? What's the minimum people get paid? He said, well, about $7.25. So then I asked him, I said, well, how many hours would it take someone who makes minimum wage to earn $200? Anybody got that answer for me? How many hours would it take someone who makes minimum wage to get $200, right? So we'll wait on the answer from the audience. We'll stop there for just a second before Ms. Mankins in. How many hours would it take someone who makes minimum wage, in this case, $7.25, how many hours would they have to work in order to make $200, right? So let me bring up Miss Mankins here. Miss Golden is in the house, still waiting on some answers from the audience. How many hours would it take someone making minimum wage, $7.25? How many hours would they need to work in order to get $200? Miss Golden, what's going on with you?
Nothing much. I decided to chime in.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Actually, I was just chilling. I always love to hear Lisa in her stories because they are so inspiring. And
Oh,
so,
thank
yeah,
you.
it's good to hear you.
Thank
You're
you. Thank you. Thank
welcome.
you.
Yes.
And I was thinking about what you just said, Evan, with sharing. My son actually had asked me, he initiated and he said, Mom, I need more of your business cards so I can give my teachers.
Wow.
Wow.
He is
Wow.
soliciting business on school campus. Listen, that's
Wow.
when your child knows. He just found his Ready Set hoodie. He said, Mom, I'm going to wear it today so people know that they can buy it.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Yes.
Look at
Yes. Already a salesman.
that. Already, right?
Already a salesman.
So
He's
we got
already thinking about how he can promote his mother's business, which
Yes.
is which is awesome.
And
absolutely.
we've got to be very deliberate about that.
We
I'm
do.
very intentional with our children. Even when I do the workshops and I go through to present, I have one of the students that were like 16, and I think I shared this before, but he had asked me what my favorite brand was, and I said, mine. He said, well, like Gucci and I was like, no, Gucci don't know me. I don't know Gucci. I know Ready Set Real Estate.
You give a brand I'm rocking.
Hmm? Yeah, you see the brand I'm rocking.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay. The golden code. All right.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so real
Yes.
quick, man, we got an answer here. 25.7 hours. Actually, it's 27.5. So good. So then I said, okay, so it's gonna take 27.5 hours for a person who makes minimum wage to get $200. And that's gross. Okay. That's gross. That's before tax. So then I asked him, I said, well, how many working days would it take a person who makes minimum wage $7.25 to get $200 gross? And so that will be obviously taking the 27.5 and divide by working hours, which is 8, right? And that brings us to 3.5. So a person has to work three and a half days who's making minimum wage to gross, not net, gross before taxes are taken out, $200. He said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, well, now you choose, right? You choose the job, 3.5 hours doing that, or you choose 4 hours. It's a choice you can make now. You just want you to know that you got options. Everybody putting down some options. You got options. I'm not telling him to go get a job. I'm just letting him know as he's young that there are other ways to earn money. And not only did I talk to him about it, I showed him. And that's the biggest thing, because you were showing, Lisa. And Ms. Golden, I know that you're showing as well. Talk to us a little bit about how you're showing the Golden Girls about this thing called money.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna share a little bit about each one of them because I did do something different, so that everyone can understand where I'm coming from. I'm gonna tell you about the ages of my children. So I have an older set, which are 30 and 26, and then the girls are 18 and 15. So I have always taught them how to save. I've always talked to them about money. However, though, with the girls, because I was learning even more myself, I even have taught them how to invest. Now, my sons, I've talked to them about investing in everything as well, because that is a key component. It's not just about saving money. They truly need to learn how to invest. And so when I hooked up with Evan in 2015, I was right on the cuffs, ready to learn about investing. And so I decided that I was bringing my girls along for that ride. As a matter of fact, I have a women's group, even though it's kind of like I'm not doing anything with it. It's called Women of Wealth. But well, when I started that group, the Lord was leading me in that way to start that particular group, Women of Wealth. And so what I did was I did what was called a 40-day money challenge. And in that 40-day money challenge, it was just saving your change. And so that was a way to get me back to where I needed to be. And also, to be able to share it with others. Well, when I was doing it, my girls wanted to do it along with me. So when I went to buy my piggy bank to put my change in, I bought them one as well because that was something that they wanted to do. They was really intrigued with it and so on. So at the end of the 40 days, I ended up having like $60 in 40 days. Okay. And it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but you know what? To me, it was a lot of money. And it wasn't just about the money because what happened mentally and spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
it is, it supersedes the dollar.
That's right.
It was about putting your mindset where it truly needed to be and to understand some different things. And so, in that challenge, like I said, I had $60, and and before I got there though, so folks can understand, I was had been through a divorce at that particular time, and between 2008 2008 to 2010, basically I was busted, and I was disgusted, and I had never been in a position in that place before. And so it was a good learning curve at that particular time for me. And one of the things that I kept affirmation and saying to myself is, I would never be broke another day in my life. And it's funny that we're on now because Evan and I was talking the other night, and I was sharing with him about how you go to my phone and tap into multiple accounts, and there's money there in those accounts. So I never be broke another day in my life. Never. And because I watch how I spend. And that's one thing, you gotta watch how you spend. But let me go back to the children. And so what I did with them was learning from Evan how to invest. So I opened up them an investment account, a brokerage account, when I opened up mine. I funded their brokerage account before I even funded my own because I wanted to leave a legacy. And another thing too, and everyone was talking about this the other day, what moved me in that directions too was here I was in the church speaking, talking about the word of God, living by faith, but there was areas in my life that didn't match that. And the word of God talks about leaving a legacy, leaving wealth. Well, I wasn't leaving any wealth. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
we have to put ourselves in those positions to leave wealth. I'm leaving wealth now. They have those brokerage accounts.
Right.
And Lisa was talking about insurance and stuff. I do an insurance review. As a matter of fact, with Evan, I did a retirement review with him.
That's right.
And he looked at, my different retirement funds and everything, gave me some pointers and what to do, stay, don't do nothing, and so on. So, you got to know about your money so that you can begin to teach your children about your money. So they have a brokerage account, and one daughter, her brokerage account is almost about to double. And so we're talking since 2015 to 2019, her brokerage account is about to double. One, all about investments, you're learning too, so it's been a learning process. One daughter, hers is not about to double, but it has earned some money. It's more than what she had. It's more than what a savings account would have earned. My account is almost close to doubling as well. So, it's about investing. Take those leap of faith. Sit down, have chats with your children about money. And here's another thing. I'm going to share this on a personal note. My mother passed in January.
Condolences.
And Yeah, so that was, a huge loss to me.
Mhm.
It was a huge loss to our family, even though, my mom had Alzheimer's. We know eventually we was going to lose her, but nothing can
Mm.
prepare you for death.
Mm-mm.
But I love my mom because my mom taught me about money, and she had everything together. I'm talking
Mm.
about everything was together. We literally just had to go in and tell the funeral home people how we wanted things, because years 20 plus years ago, we had my mom to do pre-planning burial, and she had bought her own plots. And so meeting with the people for her plot and stuff, she paid oh my gosh, she paid 3,000, she bought one, got one free. So she paid $3,000 basically for 4 plots. So she bought one, she got one free.
Oh, wow.
Those plots today are well over $10,000. So if somebody needed to bury their loved one today, didn't have a plot, they would be coming out of their money by the time everything's said and done, about a good 16, close to $16,000.
And that even is
So
relative to the real estate and location, because over here it's 25.
yes. So see, you got to be thinking about those things. And so, that immediately sent us into conversation, which I've always talked to my kids about money, but we even talk more about insurance and stuff. My kids told me they don't want to be buried. They want to be cremated. And
Same,
so,
yeah.
that let me know, then don't go and buy no more plots, because I have a plot and my other two sisters, they have a plot from my mom. So they don't want to be buried. They want to be
That's such
cremated.
a I,
Have them
yeah,
conversations.
that's so powerful, because now you can use the money you would have used to buy plots to fund the brokerage accounts. I'm going to invite those who are on and who tune in on the replay to hashtag FBO. That means for the benefit of, as it relates to custodial accounts. All right. FBO, for the benefit of that individual. And that's
Hmm.
legacy.
Yeah,
That is
it's
legacy.
set them custodian accounts up. And everybody, you always think that you got to have a lot of money. Start with what you have.
Mhm.
And don't worry about a whole lot. Start with what you have, and eventually you will get to a whole lot. But you got to start somewhere. You have to start having those conversations. And so, even from those conversations, so we're talking about children and money, and death is definitely a part of all of this. So, what I did from that, because I have a son that lives in Florida, and then I have one that lives an hour and a half away. Before they left, we went to the bank, and I made them total beneficiary of all of my accounts, because if no one is on that account of a loved one, you can't touch that money. That money must go through probate. And you do not want money to be going through probate. Either you want to definitely have a trust, and that's something we don't really talk about. To prevent that, we talk about a will. I have a will. My mom had a will, but to prevent that money from going through probate, you really need a trust, or you need to have you need to have your different loved ones on your accounts, so that they can get to that money immediately if they happen to need the money. So those are things that we have to be thinking about.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too, because it's almost like the scripture, leave inheritance to your children. It's almost like it's become like a hashtag. But I'm like wondering, like, how do you even plan that out without a will, without a trust, without without some direction of what you might leave and who is going to. How do you? It's, like I said, it's almost like it's a hashtag. It's like a cute saying with no real, with many of us not really putting any feet or with no action behind that scripture of leaving an inheritance to our children. I just find it very interesting.
Right, because we're too scared to have those types of conversations. And we got to stop being scared of having those conversations. And because death is going to happen.
Death
And
and taxes.
yes, and unless you want people to be arguing over who's going to get what, who's going to do what, how you want this to be paid, then that's why you have all that bickering within families and stuff. My sisters and I, we didn't really have anything to argue over. My mom was a single parent mom. She did a super great job in raising us. So she really didn't have anything to leave us, but some insurance money. And it wasn't a whole lot, but what she had, you know, and we didn't have to worry about doing different things, So that right there was a huge burden taken off of us. And the people as we had to make the arrangements, often complimented us on, the different things that my mom had in order, because they said one place we went to, they said, man, this is as calm as I have ever had to do this. Their family that literally comes in here and they argue the whole time, and so they commended us on our behavior, in everything. But have those conversations with your children and have them young. Now, when we talk about saving money too, now I have to admit with my daughters, there's a saver and there's a spender.
Okay.
And so I had one that would save her money, and I had one that would spend all the way down to a negative penny. Okay, but I have to remember the things that I put in her, that I have taught her. And so the seed has been planted, and
Right.
so it's up to her, to do what she needs to do with her money. Because I took them to the bank. I let them see me make deposits, business deposits, and different things like that. And we talk, and I often tell them, um, I forgot what situation it was, but anyway, I went to the bank and I had to withdraw some money. And I told them, I said, if you have not planned, then there's no way you can do what I'm about to do right now. I don't have to think about what I needed to do or go borrow money or anything. Become your own bank. Become your own bank. It took me a moment to understand that.
I was
So
saying,
this
I
is
was been saying
it.
that.
Oh yes, Evan. Oh yes, most definitely. Yes, most definitely. But it took me a moment to understand that. Become your own bank and learn the secrets of the rich.
Now, what would it be like, Lisa, if whenever, and if that's for anybody got kids, whenever your children, as you age and as you hopefully build, wealth or build your stockpile of cash or whatever, if when your child has exhibited their, fiscal behavior in a sense, responsibility, that they're now needing a loan and they can come to you versus go to the bank. Like, what if we actually, started to actually come together as one, and now they can go to the village instead of go to the bank, right? And the village becomes the bank for the youth and their great ideas and their creativity and their ingenuity and their drive and their enthusiasm.
I think you just added a new to do on my checklist now. Now I'm going to strive to do that so that we can offer that. I have my own personal goals, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I see as a challenge with us getting to home ownership. We don't have down payment money. And since we're on a public platform, I'm not going to share some of the game, but we can share in the BBC of what you just said and how we can actually be able to provide a down payment to somebody to get their foot in the door, because that's usually they have the income, they don't have the savings.
Well, I tell you, I'm glad you said something about savings, because Miss Bankers Go, you want to know we're going to start January?
We're gonna start with a savings. a savings club or something? Or are we gonna buy that real estate property? Are we ready to buy that real estate property? You know, that one that you put up? Cause I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay.
I know this right. So
Now you know I'm all about, but I want to go back to what Lisa, what you were saying, and what Lisa was saying. Um, you know, that's been my goal. My goal is I want to be the bank for my children. I want to be able to give them that, and not for them to not to have to go and borrow from anyone else. You know, Evan and I, we often talk, but anyway, I had a dream, and my dream is for my children to work in my business. Well, that is already happening. My two sons are in the business with me, and
Wonderful.
so yeah, so we're about to make a huge major move in the next 90 days. And so
that sounds like
that
y'all in the year on a bang. Y'all in
yeah,
the decade on a bang. Y'all do know, matter of fact, y'all do know like you got 2.5 months left in the decade.
Right.
It's not just that's not just the end of the year, it's the end of a decade. 2.5 months
Mm.
oh
in
my God. I hadn't looked at it like that.
the decade. Yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't either because I've
Oh
just
my
been.
God. Yes.
So we move into a new decade in 2.5 months.
Yes.
And as we have listeners or people that are following or people that are watching, I really want you to think about what the next decade, what's going to be different about the next decade than it is for this decade. What are you going
Mm-hmm.
to do to make it different, to make it better?
Mm-hmm.
Because really the rest of the world or whatever's around you can be going to hell, but that don't mean you got to. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, Lisa and Ms. Golden, once I started to stop paying attention to all that stuff, like that does not directly affect me. It may indirectly affect me, but when it don't directly affect me, I stop paying attention to it, I stop talking about it, I stop having conversations about it, I stop getting around people that all they want to do is talk about Trump or whoever, and I start focusing on what ERGJ needed to do. My life, I mean, you talk about peace of mind and clarity and focus. I'm on a whole nother level now. I mean, you just getting in my way talking about that stuff. I got things to do.
That's
So
right. And we shared about that when it doesn't align. When we did it, there were the new Black Wall Street squares. Uh, minding your own business, and when you're focusing on you, and that's what I really have seen this quarter. I mean, this year overall, the things that I've put forth and that I've created have been as a result of me just focused. I'm not paying attention to the chatter. And it really has just changed my performance. And it's also opened some new opportunities that I'm excited about for 2020. And it's part of the bigger plan. So having, having the vision and having the bigger plan. And, Evan and I have discussed offline just kind of a lot of things that have been set to motion. And I shared with Evan, it's fun. It's funny because he's actually witnessing some of these things that have been from idea to now full manifestation. And yeah, so that's why, like I said, I rock with people who support me, because we really need that solid support system of people who are not knocking your wild ideas. And because it's the wild ideas, the innovation that really changes people's lives. And I'm excited about that. So now that you said that about the end of a decade, when I think about, at least for me, where what that culminates, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. And so, now, I'm having like a little flashback.
I think
Especially
we
when I
all are, right.
yeah, right. I mean, because when I think about, where I was in business 10 years ago, and
Hmm.
here, it's coming up on you know, it's about to be 12 years, and it's at the end of a decade. And I talked about this the other night. You know, um, you can't stop because you don't think you where you should be. More than likely, you're right where you're supposed to be, but you got to keep on going. You know, so don't measure your success by someone else's success. Your success is different. You know, because 10 years still in business, I must be doing something right. And
That's
so, you
right.
know, I'm super excited because the next 10 years would definitely be with my family. And my girls, they do work in the business when we hold
Right.
classes, they do the registration and different things like that.
That's,
But you know, now I'm just thinking about my God,
Yes.
the next 10 years in a new decade. The next 10 years in a new decade.
and these are good questions to ask, right? Because again, I'm the guy that challenges people to think and think really, really go deep into their own mind and think. So my two questions really for the audience, for everybody that's out there. First, I want you to think about. I'm just going to talk about money. Obviously, you got a life, you got other compartments of your life, but I talk about money because it's the easiest thing to talk about, I think. But if you think about it, you say, okay, 10 years ago, where was I financially? Right? Where were you financially? Some people might have been up, might have been down. I don't know, right? You might have been, you might have had a positive net worth, might have had a negative net worth. You might have been knee deep in debt. You might have been in the clear. I don't know. But 10 years ago, we're talking 10 years ago, where were you financially, right? And then ask yourself now versus 10 years ago, are you better or worse? That's the first question. All right. And these are things that's for you to think about. Like we're talking about a decade of performance. We're talking about a decade of results. We're talking about a decade of behavior. We're talking about a decade of character, right? 10 years ago to today, now today, am I better or worse? Now, here's the thing. You can't just say, okay, I make more money. That means I'm better. That does not necessarily mean that you're better.
Right.
It's not about how much money you make, it's about what you keep, right? Do you have ownership of more stuff than you did 10 years
Right.
ago, or do you have more debts than you did 10 years ago, right? So start thinking about your whole financial picture and ask yourself, 10 years ago to today, am I better or worse? Second question, 10 years from today, will you be better or worse? Right. So now we forecast another decade. Say, okay, well, 10 years from now, regardless of where I am today, and regardless of whether it's been bad or worse up until this day from 10 years ago, if God gives me another 10 years, will I be a better steward of what He's placed into my hands? If I'm given another 10 years, I may have messed up 10 years ago. These past 10 years, I may have messed up. But how many guys know if you're given another opportunity, another day, another breath, that you can start to do it right? So 10 years
Yeah.
from today, better or worse, 10 years from today, will you be better or will you be worse with your finances?
I I'll take a go because you know, I'm now ready to talk about um where I came from. Okay. And so, you know, I've already said it. 10 years ago, I was broke, busted, and disgusted. 3 children in tow, going through a separation, then a divorce. And I can remember riding. I think I had just picked my girls up from school. And so, you know, we was talking about what we're going to eat and stuff. And of course, you're passing McDonald's, and forgot which one say, "Oh, let's go to McDonald's." And I said, "Nah, we can't go to McDonald's." And that broke my heart. And it broke my heart because I did not even have $5 to even go and buy one Happy Meal. And that right there was an eye-opening moment and an experience for me. Of course, I had food at the house, but I couldn't stop to make those two little girls happy for a moment, you know. And I knew then that where I was, it was not where God intended for me to be. It was just a moment in my time. And I had to keep reminding myself through those hard times um, that better days are ahead. And God didn't bring me this far to leave me. And that I needed to do what I needed to do to make things better, not only for them, but to make things better for myself. So I say that to encourage anyone that even though you might not be where you are, where you want to be financially, but one of the things I will say that is key is learning your numbers. And so for me, learning my numbers now is not just about the numbers for me financially or the numbers for my business, but it's the numbers too for my personal life, for my personal health. Because 2 years ago, I had to start looking at those numbers. And so we all have health numbers. You might not know what your health numbers are, but I want to encourage you to find out what your health numbers are so that you can be not only wealthy, but you can be wealthy, you can be healthy and wealthy. Because it do you no good to be wealthy, but you don't have the health to go along with it. So, and I know in the next 10 years, I will be um, much further along because if I looked at my wealth numbers 10 years ago, I was way in the negative. Okay. And so that has changed for me. And I'm steadily making some milestone changes in my life because it is true what they say. Women, and especially Black women who go through a divorce, it takes them 10 years to recover, especially when they have children in tow with them. 10 years, think about that. That's a 10-year climb. 10 years. So, we can do it. I can do it. And I know if I can do it, you can do it. And if I can take my family along a financial journey, you can take your family along a financial journey. And you can truly live those scripture out that says, leave a legacy, a wealth legacy for your family.
Absolutely, man. And again, I think that question, 10 years ago, where were you? I know that for me, now that I'm thinking about it, y'all got me thinking about it. Oh Lord, Jesus, 10 years ago, man, whoo, I wasn't quite broke, but I definitely, I was in a position that I was just kind of learning about or becoming interested in learning about money. I always knew how to make money. That's never been my problem. Getting it was never an issue. But what to do with it was always the issue. I knew how to get it. I just never knew what to do with it. I didn't really have a sound, firm foundation of what to do with it. I had some ideas. Oh, I probably need this. Let me try this. I think this is a good idea. But it went from idea to knowing. Okay, this is what I need to do with this dollar. This is what I need to do with this 10%. This is where this needs to go. So that's the biggest leap. It's been in the knowledge and wisdom game, which for me leads to better stewardship, which then leads to bigger bank account, right? And now, I got so many streams of income where before I had one. I can't even remember. I mean, I'm going back to when I got over 17 streams of income. I'm going back in my mind to when I had one, and I'm thinking, man, was I crazy? No, that's all I knew. Like that's
Right.
all I knew. And so as we talk about 10 years from now, we're talking about your trajectory. And really what that question is saying, guys, number one, if you keep doing what you've been doing, right, will it get you 10 years from now? Will you be where you say you want to be or you think you want to be? Or is it time for some course correction, some adjustment so that you can say, okay, wait a second. I'm looking at my results from my behavior and yeah, maybe I got this place I want to be, but does it align with my trajectory? Does my trajectory align with where I say I want to be? Am I going to hit my landing spot? Or do I need to adjust some things. What about you, Lisa? 10-year, we talking about end of a decade ago, a decade from now.
10 years ago, and I'll share a snippet because mine is a little bit more involved that I got to, that's going to be on the stage and speaking in front of 10,000, 20,000 people about this. Similar to Miss Golden, with the separation, and mine really just, that would have been the start of where everything I built got wiped out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything that I had built got wiped out. And I had to go through the shifter thinking. I was, I didn't realize, I share this now that a lot of what I've co created and created actually was out of my pain. And it's how I responded to loss, depression. It's how I responded to, I was in a DV relationship for over a decade, domestic violence. And it was, it was on the cusp of my wake up call. Um, it was on the cusp of my wake up call. So I went through a very, it was the start of things starting to be wiped out. And by the time I walked away from it, I had over $55,000 in debt that wasn't mine.
Oh, wow.
And so I did that journey. And then it's like, you know, you'll have to stay tuned for the, you know, the workshop of the book for how I
Yeah,
am where I am now.
we definitely don't want to know the how. We'll say that for the for the buyers of the story. But because we talk often, and,
Yeah.
and we talked about your trajectory, where this thing is going. It's this rocket is starting to take off, man. 10 years from now, and you're gonna have your island in 10.
I'm gonna be on the island in 10. You already know. I'm gonna be on the island in 10.
Oh yes. Oh,
Woo!
uh, ten.
Listen, I'm
I be,
already
like
planning the yacht
fully
party.
retired. Hey, I be jet setting across the country in 10 years. Okay.
Yes, yes. And as
Yeah.
you can see, I genuinely can smile with so much joy and excitement. Like right now, just even ask that question and be in a space right here to just be transparent that it's just been one heck of a journey, y'all. It's been one heck of a journey. And I've had my highs and my lows, but I think about, like with Evan said, I had one stream of income and now I have multiple streams of income.
Yes.
And now it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, that island is coming and everything is a lot more sweeter and it's much more fun. And now as we opened up, we have options. You still have options. You still
Mhm.
have options. Even
Mhm.
going through that, I still had an option to stay or leave.
Mhm.
I chose to leave. I chose to do something different, or else, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And I could not continue to do the same thing, expecting that he was going to change, it was going to change, money was going to change, the situation was going to change. That's just not how the math works.
It doesn't. It doesn't work like that at all. Piggybacking off of what you said, talking about options and then having multiple streams of, it's not just enough to talk about the word of God. You got to begin to live the word of God. Create multiple streams of income, whatever your multiple streams of income may be, or however it is for you. Create those multiple streams of income. That's where your options come in at, and then you never have to be afraid, even if you are working in the workplace being fired, because all your eggs are not in one basket.
Right.
Spread those eggs around. One of the best thing that anyone can do, start an internet-based business. The internet made more um, millionaires than any other field, any other areas. And it's not just making millionaires; they're billionaires now. So start somewhere. We all had to start somewhere.
That that segued back to Evan. We got into this, and I think that's is a good point, because one of the things that I'm mindful of, especially when you give people options, there are going to be a certain group that says that's not for me. And I'm gonna circle back to the question we discussed about the hourly versus am I going to get out here and set up the booth, set up the products and do it? And some people would actually opt for what I shared was security. And what was your response? So the security of the job, that I know that this income is set to come in. And then your response was?
Well, you're trading security. You're trading security for control. So it's always a trade off. And in my eyes, uh, it's not really. It's a false sense of security.
Right.
Because at any point in time, that could be snatched away, and depending on the state that you're in, for example, the laws they protect the employer. We have at will states, which I'm in. At will, they can let you go at will, no question asked, no reason, no necessarily need a reason to do it. They can let you go at will.
At will.
I was talking to a lady who started doing something, but she told me that she had been working as a teacher. Oh, it was a lady I had on last week. She had been working as a teacher for 30 years. She was thinking, I'm about to retire as a teacher. 30 years in the game. And they let her go. It shocked the world. You know what I'm saying? And she had the fortitude to start her own thing. She's doing well now. But
wow.
To leave my destiny in someone else's hands, I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
I can't do it either. And I'm gonna tell this brief story of that, and how I came to. I would never let anyone determine the amount of money that I can make, or have the power to let me go, and I feel so helpless. And when I worked in higher education, just a short story. A situation happened, and so I knew then that I would never give anyone that kind of power and control over my life ever again, because having that, whether people want to believe it or not, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and none of us should put ourselves in a state where we feel hopeless, or that we feel helpless, because we have the power to govern our lives. We have the power to create those multiple streams of income. That's why it's important to create multiple streams of income, so that no one has that total control over your life. You have the control. And so don't do it. Go and create, find something, do something, create a business, or join one of those what's that, MLMs, something like that. Find something extra to do, that you have another income, you and your family, or do something as a family.
Or
But
ask Evan how he.
oh, well, that's true too.
Ask Evan. He's
Hey, definitely get into some investing.
It's not. Investing, yes. I just I definitely, and I've shared this. I shared my review about Evan just kind of being supportive about the Ready Set Real Estate brand. And I remember we had this discussion because I was, he said to me, he said, that thing is taking off, whether you keep up with it or not. And we had this discussion as to proper positioning. And so for those of you who are just thinking about if you're good right where you are and you just want to figure out how to just earn more money, and no, he's not paying me to say this, I suggest you connect with him to explore additional ways to monetize what you're doing already. Because usually that's where our superpower is in the arenas that we're in, and we could actually fulfill a void or serve a market that is connecting with us. Don't feel like, oh, somebody's already doing that. Yeah, I mean, You see a whole bunch of people out here talking and doing real estate. I have my own spin to it. I've got my own spin. I'm not concerned about what others are doing. And I think that's, for me.
Man, you gonna be talking for real now. I mean, listen, like that. There are other people doing it, but those other people that are doing it aren't really doing it. You know what I mean? People are half-ass doing it. How many people are doing it one time, some of the time, none of the time, every now and then? You know what I'm saying? Like there's, listen, the gap between the unsuccessful and successful is the gap is so large, but yet it's really so small because it comes down to care. It comes down to habits, right? But the gap is large. I mean, the top earner to the bottom earner is vast, it's big, but the way over is very small. It's just in habits, and so yeah, I mean, the thing that I'm really good at, you know, when it comes to, like you say, I guess proper positioning, is helping people to helping them turn the light on. Like they already are in the room, right? But they just haven't found the light switch. I'm able to help them find the light switch that turns on the light to the tunnel, to that's at the end of the tunnel, right? And then you can see the light. And you're like, oh, there's the yellow brick road, right? Oh, I've been looking for the yellow brick road. But the greatness is already in you. It's already in you. I just help you discover or rediscover what's already in you. And that's just what I'm good at. I'm good at helping you to discover or rediscover. Now, obviously, I've shared some things about some of the successes that I'm having. And of course, you're going to get people who just simply just don't believe. And you can't help somebody that don't believe. I'm going to tell you that right now. And
Right.
don't waste the time on trying to help people who don't believe. Until they believe, you can't help them, right? But there's other people who are like, wait a second, you doing something over there. I might need to inquire, right? Well, what's the first question I'm asking? The first question I'm asking them is, okay, what are you currently doing to earn more money? All right, I want to see if you even trying. If you even trying right now, yeah, you can see me, you know what I'm saying, getting success, but I'm out here working, right? I work my tail off. But are you even trying? That's what I need to know first. Because I don't need to know somebody's not even willing to try, because you just can't hop onto the saddle and just do what I'm doing. I got to see that you even first willing to try. So these are just simple things, man, that I've just been doing this for a while with talking to people and helping them to figure it out in a sense, and take what they're doing to another. Go ahead, Ms. Golden.
Well, I mean, and you do such a great job of it too, and even if someone else is doing what you want to do, and they are killing the game, you have to do what kill the game. You'll kill the game too for yourself. There's room out here. And I think one of Evan's saying is, there's enough for all of us to eat. There is enough for all of us to eat. There is enough for you to go and create another stream of income. I'm wearing my shirt right now. This is the next stream of income right here. It's called the Golden Code. And you can't listen to what other people say, and you can't keep hanging around those who don't believe. Because people have said to me, "Man, you starting another business?" Yes, I'm about to start another business. There's purpose when you understand purpose. And then anyway, nothing wrong with taking a risk. At the end of the day, when this life here is over, I'm not going to be saying to myself, I wish I had, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, or whatever. No, I'm going to be saying, you know what? I did that thing. And okay, if it wasn't successful, but I did it. I stepped out. I did it. I did it by faith. And then you never know. It may just take right off. So you got to get out there and get some skin in the game. I think we was talking about that the other night with the other Lisa, the empowerment duo. You got to put some skin out there in the game, and you got to stop being afraid. And I think, in business, we all have been afraid. I've been afraid. I've been afraid to do, certain things. But too, I've had to learn how to just get out of my own way, that I was blocking myself. And so now I do many things scared. You know, I knock on the first door. And when I knock on the first door, I can never get to the second door if I don't knock on the first door.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you just got to knock on those doors. And guess what? They're going to be some no's. But hey, keep moving.
I love this quote that says, life is so risky that you end up dead.
It's so risky. It's all a risk. Yeah, choose your risk, man. I got one last question for you guys, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I know some people probably ask, I got time, but I know some people got things to do. As you guys are talking, something came to me. In the comments below, for those that are watching, she said, getting out of your own way. Name one thing that people deal with that keeps them stuck, that keeps them in their own way, in a sense. And the reason why I ask is because people who kind of reach out, like they see stuff, they reach out. You know, you got all those people that tend to show up. You ain't never seen them before. They ain't never liked a post. They ain't never been engaged in none of your stuff that you do. Then all of a sudden they show up when it's like time to get the rewards. Like, oh, money, I want some of that. Let me show up all of a sudden, right? But then they also come and they for some reason they feel like they can get something for nothing, right? It's like, and that's a bad habit. I'm getting something for nothing. She said, getting skin in the game. And I tell you, one of the biggest things that keep people back is they simply are not willing to invest in themselves. And so, unfortunately, I don't do free advice. I do consultations, right? This is free advice if you want free advice, but I do consultations. Why? Because here's the deal. If you didn't pay for it, you're probably not going to value it anyway. Secondarily, I need to make sure that you're willing to invest in yourself for me to invest in you too. And thirdly, I would say this, like, I got other people I got to tend to another flock, right? And so you want to be a part of the flock that gets tended to, then you invest to make sure that we can feed everybody. And so it's important for you to understand, man, like you, if you want free advice, go to the library. You know what I'm saying? You want free advice, hit Google. If you want free, like, it's plenty of stuff that's free out here. You could have gotten the free a long time ago. If free was going to help you, you wouldn't be in the situation you're in right now. Let me say that. If free was going to help you, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in right now, because it's all been free. It's all been free, right? But yeah, so you know, it's just funny, you know. And you get a couple people like, listen, this is what it's going to take. If you want me to talk to you, if you want me to set aside my time, which I could be out here earning in order to invest in you, something's going to have to happen. There's going to have to be some type of exchange somewhere, or I got to tend to the flock, right? So what is something that could be holding people back, keeping people back from really advance? Again, we're talking about getting to the end of a decade. We're talking about moving into a new decade where people are saying they're going to do something new for the new year. I don't know why you got to wait on the new year to start something new, but hey, if that's your clock, that's your clock. What's something that's keeping people back from really making that step, right? So Vivian said, fear, obviously some type of fear, habits, lack of belief in themselves. Yeah, no free advice. I'm sorry. That's one thing that's changed over the past decade too, by the way. I moved past free.
Well, I think Lisa said it. Super agent Lisa said it when she was talking. Come on, think about it. How much do you really think you're going to get for free? You're really not going to get anything much for free. So, you know, even listening to her say that gave me a whole nother perspective on free, you know, because I'm very mindful of my time, because I value my time. So over these last 10 years, moving into another decade, I learned how to value my time and not allow people to intentionally waste my time. And I often talk about that. And too, when I consult on the business end, hair and beauty industry, you got to pay me a consultant fee.
That's right.
You know, because it's my time. It's not all about my knowledge. It's my time. And so, yeah. So, and then once again, how much do you think you're going to get for free?
I'm happy that resonated.
And Here's the other thing too. I realized that the little bit that I'm charging, you done spent somewhere else anyway. I think so. You spent it somewhere else. So you just basically saying, hey, I've used my money to go somewhere else, but you won't use it to invest in me. So
right. So that goes with habits, that goes with discipline, that goes with prioritizing. And again, this is why there's that quote in saying that if you even spread the wealth evenly and equally among all the people in the world, it will end up in the same hands, because it's a mindset. It's just a mindset. There are some people, I've come across people that I've sold properties for within heirs and estates and siblings that have run through 100,000 just like that within 3 or 6 months time. The money's gone.
Oh, wow.
Calling me. And it's a strange space for me to be in, especially when I know I give people access to tax advisors and financial advisors and estate planning attorneys, because I know you've not come equipped, but I can't advise you what to do with your money. I can say, here's a team of referral partners, but if it were me, I always do that. If it were me type of situation, this is what I would do. But, it's up to you. And I've recently had someone call me who I sold their property, and it was because it was it was a foreclosure situation. And instead of her losing the property altogether, we just pulled out the equity out of it, so that it didn't become a loss. And in that scenario, it's a strange space, because fast forward, the conversation was about her not having $5 to eat, and it just was very disheartening for me to hear that, when I know that she got a check for $138,000.
Wow, that's sad.
So so it goes to show you, and and what I've learned, we don't have a money problem. And so, over my 10 years, which I have always been a saver anyway, I had always had money. I had money when no one else had money. But one of the things that I learned over the last 10 years was that we don't have a money problem. What we have is a management problem. We have a discipline problem, because even when I looked at my broke days, even in my broke days, my lights were never cut off. I was never late paying my rent. I was able to make the payments that needed to be paid. But it's learning how to manage. And management it gets deeper. The higher you go, the deeper or the responsibility and the discipline level in that. So, it's a management problem.
I think that's so true. It's funny. Yeah. I was just going to share a story because listen, it's so funny because I've actually done this on a date, is share a meal. Like, you don't need to get a whole plate, and I don't need to get a whole plate. We get one plate, and I'm gonna get a little of that. You're gonna get a little of that. I just tend to be a little frugal that way. I think because I've been there, done that. And I feel like someone in light of a partnership with me would have to have that level of discipline, and that has to be okay. That has to be okay. That, because you probably don't spend like that when you're not with me, and I don't spend like that when I'm by myself. Like, I'm very conscientious of the menu and the budget. Even when I'm with my son, like, we getting small kids meals, and it's just like you said, it's the whole management. And it goes back to where we started. It's, what are you doing today? These are the little things I'm doing today so that I'm on the island.
Exactly. And so, Lisa,
hold on, say that again. Say that last part again.
I'm doing these things today, so I'll be on the island. It's so funny because my son does this. He and I, we've already experienced that, so he already knows. And so with him desiring that same lifestyle, which is beachfront, he's it only accelerates the manifestation, because now where two minds come together, right? He and I are already on the same vibration with it, because he's like, remember when we just walked down to the beach, and remember he could describe the food, he can describe the lifestyle, the experience, and it's a great space. And when I think about it, it's setting up what I'm doing here and being definitely frugal about all that stuff, because I'm creating a life within the next decade that I'm foreseeing. So yeah, I'm not that person. It's so funny because that's completely personal. I'm not that person that I'm gonna run up your bill. I'm not gonna do that, because I reciprocate on dates and stuff like that. I wouldn't want you running up my bill just because it's on me.
Exactly. I agree with you on that, Lisa. I'm frugal too. My girls know when we go out to eat, pretty much they don't order a drink. We get water. And I had them to start thinking about that. One time, they ordered, drinks, and sometimes, I let them do it. And I say, you see right here, this drink costs $2.99. I said, just multiply that. That's $6 between the two of you. I always pretty much drink water anyway. And I said, just think, if I had gotten a drink, that is $9. And you can't recover that money. I
Right.
mean, it's gone. So, be conscious about your money. I'm frugal about my money. I coupon. And, as far as I'm concerned, I'm the coupon queen. And
Right.
yes, if I pull up somewhere, I am looking for some coupon savings, because I'm conscious. I'm managing my money. I don't care what it looks like to anyone else. I am managing my money. I pulled up in Target, and so been a little slack on the coupon, but ended up purchasing to be. I only paid 78 cents for that toilet paper. Okay, so take care of your money. Be a good your money.
Man,
I'll add to that the last thing in terms of that, because you shared about not recovering it. So in terms of my multiple streams of income and business ownership, I'm always thinking of who's going to pay for my meals and all this other stuff. So when I'm mindful of what I'm spending, I'm already thinking, did I get an order? Did I get something? Did I sell something to replace that? So that's, I think, for those of you who are listening, is another key reason that you want to start thinking about multiple streams of income, is because if you're just on that one stream, and then you do go out and you're having these expenditures, and you're only relying on that one stream to pay for it, then it becomes that rat race in that cycle. Versus I'm like, oh, I went to this symposium and I sold a book. So I sold a book, and that's what actually bought. I made it. I've got quite a profit spread on it, on one of the latest books, and I sold the book. It served as a meal for my son, and I still made a profit. I still have profit left.
yeah, that's exchange,
That's it.
and I'll share one tip for the audience when it comes to just becoming better managers, practicing discipline. Here's one tip: go straight home when you have food in the fridge instead of stopping to get something to eat on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's one simple thing. You'd be like, oh, let me stop. And you'd be like, wait a second, I got leftovers, I got food there. Go home and eat. And listen, I don't know who this for, but I just want to let you know. You're not obligated to stop at a fast food restaurant every time you go on your way back home from work. I want you to know you're not obligated. It's not mandatory that you stop somewhere to pick up something to eat when you know you got food at the house. If you just start practicing that's gonna save you a whole bunch of money right there. But I just want to let y'all. Some of y'all think y'all obligated. Y'all got to give Wendy's and Chick-fil-A and y'all got to give them some of y'all money before y'all get home. Just for some reason, it's become a habit, right? It's become a habit. Let me give them some of my money before I get home. You don't have to. You're not obligated. You don't have to. just thought I'd let you know. Okay, just
Good stuff.
That's so true. You just stepped on my toes because I was out earlier today, and I said, "Well, okay, let me run by Chick-fil-A and get my free cookie for my birthday, and get some ice cream for my daughter and myself." And I turned that car around, carried myself home, because you know what? We didn't need that. We didn't have to have that. So yeah, so sometimes you just got to thinking along those terms, along those lines. And that's so true. Because if you look at your budget, looking at those numbers, that's a wake-up call when you actually see where that money is truly going.
woo. Yeah, I told him about that. I told him about that yesterday, man. When you really look, if you just have the courage to look at your expenses, it will change your life. You just time, just whoa, yeah, one time.
It will.
Hey man, hey, we're gonna wrap this thing up, guys. We've been on here for an hour and a half, man. Just trying to give you guys some good content, some good conversation. This next level conversation. This is just Black folk talking about money, and you get an opportunity to see it from a whole different perspective. Hopefully, it gave you something to think about. So something to consider, something to ponder, right? And again, we're moving into the end of a decade. And if you want your next decade to change, you got to change. That's it. If you wanted to change, you got to change. If you are unwilling to change, then don't expect many other things to change for you, okay? So if you want to change, you start changing, and then things will change for you. Super Agent up in the house, man. Any last words for the people before we close this show out?
I think I'd like to just invite you, especially as we're thinking about the closing of a decade. Now's the time you should actually be working on first quarter 2020. October, we're in October. The seeds that you plant now is what's going to spring up in the springtime. And so now is don't wait. It's never too late. There's some phenomenal stories of people that have started in their 60s, started late in their life. And then we have stories that we've seen now, kids. I mean, you got kids that are millionaires. And if you're connected with this group, that means that is something you are desiring. There's a quality of life that you are seeking, and it won't happen if you don't happen.
Ooh, it won't happen if you don't. Oh, let me see if I can find another good one. You're going to come one up on me. I'll tell you. Miss Golden, man, last word for the people, man. We close this thing out. Miss Golden?
We was talking about numbers, and, if you're truly wanting to move forward, then take a hard look at yourself, where you are, and be honest with yourself. You can't move forward in anything until you are first honest with yourself, and then begin to take the baby steps to move yourself forward. Don't be afraid. So many times, I run into people, they're at A, but they swear they need to be at D. It's okay. Take some baby steps. Baby steps are okay. Because if you think about the hare and the tortoise, it was a slow move. But look who won the race, the turtle and the hare. Look who won the race. You're trying to get to the finish line. Get to the finish line the best way you can.
Get to the
Take your time.
The best way you can. Of course, we got to follow that up with don't grow weary in well doing. That's
well doing.
Don't grow weary. But grow weary and bad doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you ain't doing well doing, you might want to grow weary in the bad stuff. Keep doing good on the good stuff, all right? Don't grow weary on the good stuff. But the bad stuff, you might want to get weary on that, okay?
I know, right?
All right, man. Well, we're just really talking about tonight, guys, in Money Talks with ERGJ, man, becoming better stewards, better discipline. I mean, we're talking about the D word, discipline. That's right, man. Being better with this thing called money, so we can have better with this thing called money as we end a decade, moving into a whole brand new one, man. Hey, it's just time to get it, man. It's time to stop playing around, time to level up, and I would say it's time to mature. It's time to mature in money, and many other places as well. But again, we're talking about money tonight. Mature in money. Put away childish ways. Put those away. The childish ways, put those away. Those things that you allow your emotions to tell you to do stuff, because put those things away. And you
The
take
lies.
you take
The
control.
lies. I deserve it.
Yeah, I know that's right. Everybody put console, take control. You take control of your financial future. You take control of your financial future. Well, my beautiful people, want to say thanks so much to Mrs. Mankins Golden, having the courage to get up in the hot seat. Miss Super Agent's up in the house as well, man. Thanks so much for being here on the New Black Wall Street, guys. I want you to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. Man, and y'all keep saying, I keep saying this, but y'all know we need. Just look at the BBC. We all we need. We got everything we need right there in the BBC. We all we need. And thank God, that's more.
That's more than
Till
enough.
next episode, you know what time it is, guys. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
Music.
Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We will see you all there at the next episode of
The New Black Wall Street.
The New Black Wall
Wall Street.